Welcome to episode 16 of VGXL. I'm your host, Daniel, aka Games. Joining me today again, we have Addercat and Jose. You can follow us on Twitter at VGXL Podcast, as well as Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram at Videogamesxlife. And today we're going to be discussing some news and going over some horror games and a few of our favorites. How you doing, guys?
What up?
As always.
Best fucking opening in any podcast ever, bro.
Yo, 16 episodes in, and I still can't. I still trip over my words in the beginning. I don't know.
That's what makes it us, baby. You coming over here for that perfect shit? Nope. We out
exactly.
here. We out here fumbling, and we love it.
We keeps it real here at VGXL.
We fumble. You fumble in real life. It's about how you get back up, baby.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't think you were gonna come here. You came here to listen to video games. You didn't think you were gonna get taught a life lesson, but you did. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yo, so I'm pretty excited about what happened this week. We finally got the episode. I finally got episode 14. Up. This is 16, but 14 is about to go up. It's just that they're gonna be spaced a little closer together. So by the time you hear this, you'll have seen that. But 14 and 15 getting up on YouTube, it's been a big deal. I went from 8 followers, subscribers on YouTube to 18. So thank you for those 10 new subscribers on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everybody who's followed, who's been interacting and giving us feedback. I truly appreciate it. I definitely want to, like I said last time, I definitely want to try to get in some more interaction, so you'll be seeing me tweeting a lot more, and maybe do a giveaway. I have some I have some stuff that I can a couple of things that not too crazy. I'm not giving away no PS5s or anything, but I do have a couple of Chromecasts that I might be able to give away or whatnot. Not Chromecast, Google Stadias, that comes with a Chromecast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have them. I have nothing to do with them, so I might as well give them away. So, if you are listening to this or watching us on YouTube, leave a comment or tweet at me, at VGXL Podcast on Twitter, and let us know if you're interested. And I'll pick somebody out, and we'll see how we can get you that Google Stadia. It comes with a free month, comes with a Chromecast. If you never use it again, or if you want to sell it, I don't care. Just just give us some love, show us some interaction, and on Twitter or the YouTube comments, and I'll be sure to pick somebody out from that, and maybe even 2 people, and we'll get you that Stadia. You can see what all the cloud gaming hype is about, or
true,
not about.
Also,
you can
I
see
have
why they shut down their studios firsthand.
Yeah.
Listen, if you guys want to be a part of something that's not going to be around very long, I highly suggest
if you two want to be part of a failure,
you cross your fingers and hope that you win this.
Hey, it's free, right? So if it fails, hey,
it fails
out of it.
It's free, bitch.
True.
Take it. Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of something we saw coming, right? We talked about it on this podcast before.
Yeah.
Stadia just didn't feel real, man. This shit didn't feel real. It felt like one of them novelty ass plug and play. Ooh, you could get fucking this and this on your TV, and it just felt like a whack attempt. And they had that stupid fucking dude with the afro who does sound effects with his mouth in all those commercials. I don't know who that fucking dude is.
Michael Winslow or whatever. Not the 80s guy, right?
That's Police Academy, dude. Yeah. I'm talking about like that
sound effects. That's all I know. I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah, he has like this big hair, and he's had like a few stand-ups that I've seen that I wasn't like really too crazy about. But he's in every commercial like Stadia, and it's just made me hate that shit more.
I mean, the service itself, like the streaming aspect, was decent. It wasn't the worst.
You sound a little low. Bring your mic. You might have to bring your mic down a little bit, or yeah, right. I'm not bugging, right?
A bit. I didn't really notice it earlier.
How's that? Am I better now?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, are you in my living room?
Oh, that's probably too good now, huh?
Yo, okay. After I mentioned possibly giving away the Stadia, did you have something else, Jose? Did you mention you?
No. I was just saying that I kind of felt like we saw it coming, right?
Oh, okay. I thought you had, like you say, you also had something to give away. I was like, oh.
Oh, actually, yeah. I'm sorry. You're right. I was saying how me being that I have such a fond love for Funko Pops. I think it'd be cool to give out a few of those. So if people want to suggest any Funko Pops they'd like to own that they don't already own, we're
Oh,
not talking, you know,
fire.
There you go.
we're not talking
And
about no shit that's gonna be $1,000, but
not
I
yet.
might be able to hook it up with an Iron Spider. You know what I mean? I might be able to hook it up with a Sam Porter Bridges, Death Stranding.
There you go.
A few of those we could do. There's some shit on this side.
There you go.
All right, so
I'm feeling that Spider-Man shirt
how can I?
and that Sonic shirt. I'm feeling all the shirts right here, man.
I know. I was like, I want to do something video. You're right. We on camera now. We should be looking like we like video
camera,
games.
baby. Yeah, we gotta. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta go shopping, man. Gotta up my wardrobe now.
You're right. Me too.
Yeah, it's easy to come out here rocking some gangster shit or some wrestling shit. Nah, this is a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
We gotta bring the retro vibes out here,
And I have something to give away too. I'm giving away Games' virginity. There we go.
Ooh.
Bro,
I know people want that. I know it's a hot item, or it will be.
If there was anything we needed to really blow up, you just fucking hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Games, do your Kegels, bro. Do your Kegels.
Kegels. Every day I'm doing them right now as I sit here. Yeah. I'm like Virginia. I'm like, I wonder how them two kids got here. Look just like me.
Bro, the immaculate conception.
Right? No, but like you were saying, it honestly did feel like Stadia was bullshit, and going into the news of the week, we got Google closing 2 of their in-house studios before they even launched the game. So wow. They pretty much proved everybody right with that shit. Because I remember when that shit launched, everybody was saying, "Oh, this is gonna be like Google Plus or the their what was that, their social media site and all that shit, and a bunch of other shit that they've shut down, Google Glass and things like that just did not make it. And this is looking like it's going the same route. Like, when you buy a video game system, you're thinking, I mean, the whole selling point is exclusive games. So it's like, why would I want, if I could play third-party games in 3 to 4 other places, why am I going to do it on cloud gaming? And you could do that on Xbox for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. You get Game Pass and you get the cloud service, and even PlayStation Now has, that's pretty much available. So you have so much competition. Yeah, now you have absolutely no reason to join Google service. Like, I just don't see the reason. And that's why I'm giving it away.
That's true. Don't you have like 5 of them shits just chilling at the house?
Yeah, because and that was gonna be my next point. Is like, I had a feeling something like this was gonna happen, simply because I pay for YouTube Premium, and anybody who had that, they were giving away the Stadia, a Founders Edition, meaning the controller and the Chromecast in the box together. So I have the family account. So with the family account, you can have up to 5 people, and I applied for a free one with all 5 accounts on, all 5 emails under the same family account, and they sent me 5 of them to the same address. I didn't do nothing crazy, just change the name. Maybe I had just different names, but that was it. So. And it's like, I don't really need, like, I just have no reason for it. You know what I mean? I mean, I was thinking maybe a second one, but I don't use the service all that much. I mean, it's getting a little bit better because now for $10 a month, you do get a list of games now, but it's like, why pay for that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, why?
Yeah. And then for that, you can just pay for Xbox Ultimate and get a superior service. You know what I mean? You can get the PC Game Pass, or if you have an Xbox, then you have it there plus the cloud gaming. So it really is just no competition at this point. They're going to end up shutting that down. I don't know. I don't see that lasting more than another year, unless they come up with or they're going to change, like, buying a game. Why buy a game? Why buy a game through that when you could just have it on, a console or whatever, right?
True.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. The only people who are going to use that are people who like really need to stay mobile or something, or like they just can't have a console. They don't need like a box.
I'm sure, like that's what I mean. Like, I'm sure there's always a niche, right? So it's like,
yeah. But other than I don't know, a traveling salesman who's like selling vacuum cleaners all the time, I don't think they're going to need a Stadia. So.
Oh man.
Like, even truckers have like outlets. You know what I mean? Like.
And like I said. And with mobile gaming, and now with Xbox can't, with just Microsoft is ruining that, and Amazon has Luna still on the horizon. That's not, it's not widespread yet, but even that's, competition. That's just a flat rate. That one's starting at $7 a month, so it's even cheaper than Stadia, and you get all the same shit. You know what I mean? And it has a Wi-Fi controller. It's built right into the Fire TV. Like I tried I actually got the controller and tried it on my kids' TV, so it was really cool playing, Assassin's Creed right into the TV. See that you actually have a base of people who have the hardware already. You don't need a Chromecast. You don't need any of that shit. And honestly, you needed to you have to wire up the Chromecast has a power adapter that you have to plug an Ethernet cable into for it to even work that great. It's not that good on Wi-Fi. It's really not. Xbox is good, decent on Wi-Fi. The cloud gaming and Steam Link is pretty decent on Wi-Fi, but the Stadia is not that good. They're touting, you get 4K and you get the best. You're getting the best graphics because we're doing it on our side, and that's not true. We're like, I tried the first game I tried was Destiny, and the frame rate, the frame rate was decent, but the graphically didn't. It looked like it was like medium to high settings, But I will say the frame rate was fast, was top notch.
That's what I remember. The frame rate was good, and I remember I used XCloud right before, and XCloud was just so laggy and like the connection sucked. But it might have gotten better. That was a while ago.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better since they launched in September. It's good. I can definitely say it's a lot more comfortable, and not even on Wi-Fi, but on my regular mobile internet 5G works pretty damn good.
I got to get a 5G phone, man. They're seeming more and more appealing. They seem really fast.
The S21 is out, or unless you're gonna wait for the other one. What's the big one?
The Note.
The Note, yeah.
Yeah, I just want something with a flat screen. I'm tired of the curved edges. They kind of suck. I'm over it. So.
Oh, I see. I think the Plus doesn't have the curved, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway,
what phone do you have?
I've got the Note 9.
Oh, same thing. Same shit.
Yeah. I love it. It's a great phone, but the curved edges, like, they just serve no purpose, and they kind of cut off some of the screen. So, because it's curved, So if you're trying to touch something or tap an X in the top right, it's a pain in the ass.
Inception. There we are.
Holy shit!
Podcast vibes.
Who are you, Christopher Nolan?
There's a slight resemblance.
Yeah.
In other news, we have Mass Effect Legendary Edition finally is coming out May 14th. I'm pretty excited for that. Yes, it's just an HD remaster. They did fix some of the controls. The driving around is supposed to be a lot better. It's going to be in 4K and all that loveliness. All the DLC, most of the DLCs included, because I just saw a headline that one of the DLCs got corrupted, so there's going to be missing one. And the original, and the alternate ending is going to be included by default. If you didn't play Mass Effect, there was a huge controversy after part 3 came out because the ending literally barely gave you any choice, and so they had to revamp the whole ending, and they added it as a free DLC because people were that angry about how bad it ended.
It was pretty bad. In their defense, it was pretty terrible. So.
Yeah, it was corny. It's like
spend a whole series, talking about choice and options,
and then your final choice barely exist. And even the alternate ending was barely anything. But I won't say too much. And really quick, it was really sweet. The voice of Femshep, tweeted out today showing she was like, "I'm ugly crying about at the trailer." I actually like the trailer, got me all choked up because it was just such a great series. I enjoyed the shit out of it back in the day. I played it back to back to back. That's the only game, I think, the only time and I don't know if I can even do that today, but that was one of the few times I played a whole series like literally back to back to back of each other. Because I think when part 3 was coming out, I hadn't finished. I only finished 1. I hadn't played 2. And then 3 was coming out, so I ended up playing 1, 2, and 3. I started 1 all over again, made different choices, and I played that all the way through until I got to finish part 3. I think I did that like in a month or month and a half or something like that. But I definitely banged that out. Great series. If you haven't played Mass Effect, I would definitely check that out when it drops for next gen consoles. Probably 2, between 1 and 2, because 1, I missed the driving of 1, so it's like I enjoyed 2 a lot. Like 2 was awesome. But one, I liked one. A lot of people didn't like one because they said it was clunky and the driving wasn't that great. I guess I didn't see it at the time, and so I don't know. I liked the way one ended. It had one of the best endings too, like that twist at the end.
I was gonna say, yeah, one was solid. One was really solid. Two's my favorite, and then three ruined the series for me, and I didn't even finish three.
Oh yeah, you didn't finish it?
I mean, I did, but I just
I know what you mean.
Like I started running through it. I was like, this is nonsense. So I just kind of finished it up and wrapped it up, and I was like, all right.
And 2 was pretty fire because it had what's his name?
Characters. I love those guys.
Elusive Man.
Oh shit.
I mean, not what's the Emilio Estevez's father? What's his name?
Martin Sheen. Michael Sheen. You hear me? Martin Sheen.
Close. Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen. Okay, I was thinking Charlie Sheen, and then but I was like, wait, isn't he looks more like the other guys? Yeah, he looks a lot. They look a lot more alike, so that's why I was thinking him more. But yeah, he was in that, and it was just crazy. I thought that was awesome having a pretty big actor, in a huge part of the game. That was awesome. So it's gonna be cool to see that again. And I said it on Twitter. I only played as male Shepard, so since this is a brand new playthrough, I'm probably gonna go full
FemShep,
FemShep this time around.
Did they do ray tracing? Because some of the scenes I saw, it almost looks like they added some form of maybe light ray tracing.
I think it's gonna have next gen things like
the
ray
lighting
tracing.
definitely looks better.
Yeah,
it might just be way better lighting, systems, but it almost looks ray tracing esque.
That'd be awesome. So, yeah, because and hopefully this really does reinvigorate the franchise for a good sequel, which I won't expect at least until towards the end of this console cycle.
Right.
Yeah, because we still got Dragon Age coming out. We still got Anthem's being fixed now, and what else they're supposed to? Oh, and is that it? What else they're supposed to be launching? Dragon Age. I don't know, but anyway, we're probably not going to see that for a long time.
I was going to say that's the closest, the most announced one, I guess.
Yeah,
but they got some other shit cooking.
Got some stuff stirring up.
You got more news?
I think that's it for me today.
Okay. For me, the first bit is we can talk about Battlefield 6. There's a reveal coming this spring.
Yes.
I'm pretty hyped about that. Yeah, you guys play Battlefield, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's gonna be fire.
Before.
Yeah. It's gonna support more players than ever, which is also exciting. I mean, they already supported, I guess, the most players, I think, of any shooter that I can think of besides like MAG, which was terrible.
Yeah.
And I guess like MMOs, those don't count.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna be fire. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Hopefully they bring it back to like Battlefield 3. That'd be nice. And if they could do a battle royale the right way, that would be fire.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I think it's inevitable that they go that route. It's just such a easy way to get so many people talking and get so many people interacting with the game, especially if they do it right. If they do it even 50% as well as Warzone has been received, despite the glitches and the fucking hacks, it'll go over crazy.
They just gotta bring something fresh and new to it, and I think something they already have in the bag that they can do is full destructibility of buildings and terrain.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? If you're like in the downtown area in skyscrapers, and if you have a 4-man squad, maybe it's only when you're in a big enough squad, but 4-man squad, and you could set up explosives and take down a whole building, kill 2 squads or that'd be fucking dope.
That would be dope.
That'd be the killer shit. You could all just run real quick to the pillars, boop boop boop, and you have to time it, but if you get them all at the same time, the whole shit, whoever's in there fucking around, like that'd be cool shit like that. So
hell yeah,
that would be awesome.
Pardon my French, I'm sorry.
Imagine a team of people hiding in a building and the whole shit gets blown away.
Yeah.
You see people running. That shit would be great. It'll make some
they had that in
funny
4
situations.
Yeah, if you played 4, like they had this kind of city area, and you'd be in the fight, you'd be going up the elevator or some shit, the building would start to shake, and you get to the top, and it's like chaos, everybody's shooting, a helicopter's going by, and then you got to jump out the window because the whole building starts collapsing.
That I remember that.
But yeah. In other news, EA is bringing back college football games, and of course they're doing it without paying the kids, because fuck them kids. Pardon my French, but yeah. Yeah, so they're working pretty closely, I guess, with some schools and getting licenses and all that good stuff. So they're gonna get in the college football game. I liked when 2K was doing it. I think they had the better football franchises.
Right.
Um, but Madden got the EA rather got the NFL licensing, so they boxed them out of that.
But you're right. I used to love the 2K, the NFL 2K series. I bought them all the way from between PS2 and 360. I was buying them shits, and then yeah,
yeah,
that's when they like you had like 5 different developers making sports
yeah.
games.
I
Oh
remember like
man.
2K, like college, 2K5 or something for college. I think that was my favorite football game of all time. Like it was so fucking good, and no name teams, no name players, none of that shit. But the gameplay was so good, like way better than Madden was at the time. But it just didn't catch fire. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it
See,
is.
I love that. I love that. Those games that had like those sports games that had like a certain crowd. People leaned one way or the other.
Hmm.
And one thing for me, like being that I'm not huge on sports, like I'm like baseball. Games you remember we were like huge on '90s Yankees. You know what I'm saying?
hell yeah. When
We
they were
were
at their
God,
best.
hell yeah,
When you
we
cut
were.
it.
Yeah, oh man, we were, and this is back when games like Triple Play '97, Triple Play '98, Triple Play '99.
That's
Those
right.
games were the
Triple play,
shit. The
yeah.
cheat codes you could put in, and how you could make them tiny, and it was just a fun
Yeah.
game. And the
I
gameplay wasn't
loved.
half bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like everything's so serious now. It'd be cool to have that too. You know?
Well, they still have like MLB. What is it? MLB The Show.
The
It's
show,
like
Yeah,
yeah.
that's kind of arcade-ish, right? Like,
it does. It definitely has an arcade feel, but it also has a certain technical arc to it that is
okay.
just like fuck. Because I have one of those, and I was just like, damn, this shit. It's cool, but I can't.
Are
I
there
just want
microtransactions in the MLB games? Like
So
the way it is in the NBA, like the my team bullshit. Do they have
like
stuff
in
like that?
FIFA.
Yeah,
FIFA's
to.
fucking oof.
I'm
because
not
the
sure.
NBA is like that too now, isn't it? Isn't yeah? Aren't the NBA games like that? That it's just like you buy the card packs and all that shit. That's the only
I
reason why I
haven't
don't
played
play
in
sports
too
games
long. I don't know.
because I would
Yeah,
still buy into like a football game every now and then. Just you wait a month and it goes. It's already $30. It's like those go get cheap quick. But I refuse. I'm not gonna buy card packs and bullshit to play just to have a decent team. Like fuck that shit. Like I can't.
yeah. Especially on top of upgrading the game itself. Like, so I'm gonna pay for a new game every year, even though it's pretty much the same game. And then you're gonna
Right.
take whatever player I had, you're gonna take them away and make me buy them again through a pack or earn them again, sure, through gameplay.
Exactly.
Like, why? I don't know how people still do that
I
shit. Like
just don't
people.
understand why they don't just release one game and then keep making money off of it. Like that way I could have my squad and then but then again I guess you gotta they would have to that causes work, right? They have to find a reason to make you spend more money.
I mean, all right, so you can release it every 2 years, every 3 years when you have a real improvement. But like
Yeah.
some of these improvements, they're actually, deprovements. Like they get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 2K19 or 2K20 was way worse than the one before it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Fucking
WWE got like that too. That
Yeah, I was just gonna
yeah.
say that.
yeah.
Those games
Okay,
are the
yeah.
same shit. And what
Yeah.
I don't like about this is just about WWE in general and how it's leaked over into gaming is they're treating pro wrestling like sports.
Yep.
Like I was watching the Royal Rumble the other day, and it's like, bro, this shit is too much like watching a sports event versus a sports, and like anybody who doesn't know, if we have any younger listeners who don't really know what I mean, or just getting into wrestling at a later era where that shit's just normal. It wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Like it was handled like sports entertainment, where you knew that it was entertainment, but at the same time, it was handled a certain way where, like now you have wrestlers who are like suited up announcing at the table, talking about strategy and talking about how hard it's going to be for this wrestler to beat that wrestler. That shit's
Oh, is that
not
what they do
real.
now?
Yeah. Like I
Oh,
saw
that's
Peter
so cool.
Rosenberg from
Yeah.
Hot
197,
97
yeah.
talking about this with like Booker T, and he's like, yeah, I think that the Royal Rumble, blah blah blah, is gonna have a hard time. This, and I'm like, bro, I get what you're aiming for, but we got to remember that while wrestling has a lot of real moments, and while wrestling is has moments where people get injured and it could go wrong like that really quick. It's still scripted, so all that shit doesn't matter. At the end of we know who's gonna go home with that title. You know what I'm saying? Like we know who's gonna get over. I watched it now. This is the main point I'm saying. Not to go too off topic of games, but I watched like the girl that won the Royal Rumble. I believe her name's Bianca. She's one of the newer wrestlers, and she's on NXT. There's a video of her after she won the Rumble. She's backstage, and Triple H goes up to her. And he's like, "After WrestleMania, you're gonna be starting on Monday Night Raw." And she's like, obviously fucking ecstatic, because what that means is they're making sure you get over. And getting over in wrestling world means like they're pushing you. They know you got that fucking look. You got the skills. You're good on the mic. They're pushing you so that they want to see what you're gonna do with that. So that's cool that they're doing that. But why the fuck am I seeing that?
Yeah.
Like this is not you're killing the whole idea. And I think it's because they went through so many years of everybody breaking character and letting you know that it's fake. That now they're like, you know what? Let's not run away from it. Let's go this approach. But we've always known it was fake.
I was gonna say,
known it was scripted. Don't treat the shit like it's sports, and that's what's happening with the games. They're translating that, which is happening in real wrestling, into games. So you're getting a fucking sports wrestling game, and it's like the same shit every year. And sometimes, which WWE game was it? That was fucking awful for like 7 months.
All of them?
Years ago?
Wasn't it last year? No.
Oh, I know you're talking.
Wasn't that shit like unplayable?
Yeah, I think it was like 2
games ago.
Oh, 18 or 19, maybe.
One of those. I don't know, because I just completely stopped fucking caring about those games.
I think it was 19.
Dude, it was awful. I remember the complaints and the glitches. If you went on Instagram, you saw the glitches, people flying in the air and heads missing and all this weird shit.
That's right.
I remember on Kotaku, it was always like in the highlight reels or weird shit would happen.
It was 19. It was 19 because last year didn't have a game. We only got that Rumble, that Backyard Rumble, whatever the fuck it was called. It wasn't an actual wrestling game. We didn't get I don't believe we got a 2K20 like a WWE. I think it was just like that arcadey one where they have like big heads and shit. It's not a real like your standard one. That was the only one. Yeah, and that's the one that came out like on Switch, and it was just horrible there. And it was I remember. And
were we talking about
that was because
last podcast?
I don't remember what happened yesterday.
Okay.
I know we talked about AEW coming out with a game that's going to be arcade-ish, and it's going to be more toward the old school like No Mercy WrestleMania 2000 style games.
Yeah, you did mention that.
I got you. Okay.
I definitely brought that up on one of these podcasts, but you see, I feel like I'm hoping that's good. I'm hoping that's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's just people are trying too hard to make it the most realistic thing in the world. And it's not, it doesn't need that, bro. Like we grew up in an era of nothing but wrestling arcade games. And those were fun.
Yeah.
By the time we got SmackDown and Attitude and No Mercy, that shit was incredible to us.
Yeah.
And these people have to start understanding how to create a game where it feels modern, but you keep what made it good. Like there are certain in music, there are certain artists or certain bands that release the same fucking album all the time because they understand that that's the recipe. Nobody is a fan of you because they want to see you do some shit you never done before.
Exactly.
Now that's not always the case, but the truth is, if I hear an album that I like by a band, right? I want to hear something like that again and be like, fuck, man, they did it again. They struck gold. I don't want to hear them go a whole different direction and sound like a whole different band, because then that's not what I'm a fan of.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason why you draw listeners or draw players. People like that. So stick to that. You know what I'm saying? Just improve on it. It goes with our discussion. We had a discussion like this recently with what game was that? The Medium. Like we were texting about it. We'll get into that later, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's nothing wrong with modernizing an old formula and making it work, because that shit was amazing.
Exactly. To be fair on the whole last wrestling game, I believe the reason for that one being as bad as it was because they who makes WWE games now? Is that Activision or I don't even know who does.
Yeah, it's the 2K. They're part of the 2K series.
So that's Take-Two then, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, there was a main team that
2K Games, THQ Take-Two, right?
Yeah, so there was a main team that did the wrestling games, and they were taken off of the two. Like I said, I believe it's 2K19. They were taken off of that, and then a supporting dev team came in that normally helps out, came in to do the whole game from at the same time, and then they were working on another game. I just heard this the other day. I'm sorry, for not having the exact details, but yeah, it's like a separate dev team pretty much that normally just helps out, made the whole game while making another game that they normally make from the ground up. So that's why it was just trash. They were probably, you know how the fucking Take-Two is a fucking shit company. It's like the way they treat everybody. That's the people on like Rockstar, right? And and it's like Rockstar is his own thing. That's why like that doesn't get fucked with too much. Even though now with the whole online shit, that's probably why But other than that, they're just as bad as Activision, EA, and Warner Brothers. Whatever. Well, that's the same thing, right? I think Take-Two owns Warner Brothers Interactive or some shit like that. But it's all trash, pretty much.
It's all garbage.
Yeah, all in on the microtransactions. Don't give a fuck if a dev team gets fired and then the game takes a hit. One of your biggest franchises. It's like, yeah, you could just make that, right? They probably figured that. I'm sure somebody up and I'm like, it's the same game every year. How hard could it be? You guys always help out. I'm sure that's what happened. Yeah. And they were
probably just like, follow the recipe, guys. Follow the recipe.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a shame, man, because you're wasting millions and millions of dollars trying to like reinvent the wheel. And it's like, bro, we just want to play the same thing with new characters.
Exactly.
Like we want to play the same thing, but I mean, especially a game like a sports game, bro. How much more technical can you become?
That's what sucks about the whole micro.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah,
really get a digital ball and connect it to my shit and act like I'm tossing it? Like
that's what I'm saying. Because back in the day, I remember when EA Sports, EA's always made sports games, right? Since like the Genesis era and all that, fucking Joe Montana and the original Madden games.
Absolutely.
And I remember when they first started the whole, well, maybe not, but when they were when they first went online, I thought it was dope that your player stats updated in real time, so you could watch a basketball game, and if somebody got triple double, your character they got triple double in the game. You know what I mean? Their stats went up by that much or went down by that much, and I thought that was fire. I thought that was the future. Like, man, and it's like now it's like you gotta pay to have your characters be good. And it's like, that sucks. It literally should be one sports game every 3 years. You know what I mean? And you get to play, and you're if there's a new team, I could see if maybe you had to buy the trade, like you paid for your trade or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted the updated roster, then maybe I could see like a buy-in somehow, like or a subscription service. But like the fact that you're literally, it's like an RPG now. Like you have to buy packs or gacha game, essentially, and you have to pay money and VC, and then like I know your brother AutoCAD plays that shit, and he was like he's a casual gamer, unfortunately, and he's just like, you gotta buy it. So I'm like, oh man, that's
even he doesn't play it anymore. So even he's like,
that was a while ago that I had that conversation. So yeah, I could see that.
Well, I feel like everybody's given up because it went the route of FIFA, where it's just like you just gotta pay all this money to keep playing, and it's like, I don't care what you tell me, I'm not gonna ever feel good about dropping $200 on a video game, even if it's for content or whatever the fuck.
Exactly.
It doesn't feel nice, not at all.
Yeah, no, it's my honest opinion for years about this shit has been treat sports games like MMOs. If you could, like, the whole span of a next gen console, you should be able to have one game. Just call it, call it NBA PS4 or NBA next gen, and let that shit rock for years. Whenever there's necessary patches or necessary upgrades, you can do all the, you know what I'm saying? Handle it like that. You're fucking with you're releasing bullshit, bro.
Or maybe that's our new idea. Maybe that's how we all get rich. We start a sports. I mean, we got to cut this out. You got to edit all this out.
I know, right? Because not for nothing,
our idea. They can't have it.
Like, not for nothing, the way Fortnite, and you can hate on Fortnite as much as you want, right? But the way they do certain things, like, I can't front, is probably one of the more user friendly, even though I know they crunch and all that. But as far as like for the consumer, it's one of the more consumer friendly ways, because when you buy a battle pass, you actually get some cool stuff. you get a lot of free stuff now just for playing the game. Like I actually got into it because you get the Mandalorian suit, but even besides that, like they had some funny skins you could get just from playing the game. Like you want Predator, you could just all you gotta do is find them on the map, defeat them, and you got Predator. And then if you want like a couple of like an emote and another thing that his back bling, all you gotta do is a couple of missions and you get it. And I'm like, that's kind of fire. Like if you play without spending a dime, you get a lot of cool stuff. If you do get the battle pass, then and you again, this is mostly for hardcore players, and you play through the whole battle pass, you get all your in-game currency back. Like I got 2,000 V-Bucks for free through buying a video card or some shit. Gave it to my son. Never had to spend more money on the game. He gets it every single season. He ends up grinding with his little crony friends to make that money back. And I think that's fire. Like, you don't have to spend money on it and you can enjoy the shit out of it. But now they have the monthly sub where you pay $12 a month, which is the same as like Final Fantasy 14, even though that has way more content. But still, it's it's an MMO subscription. You get 1,000 V-Bucks every single month. So if you want to think about it in their way, because this is all a mind fuck, it's literally like $3 a month if you were to spend, buy 1,000 V-Bucks every month, and you get the battle pass, so you don't have to spend money on that. So you save that up, and so you can buy a skin, you can buy emotes, you could do a lot of shit with that, and you're paying a monthly subscription. You're not getting G'd into a $20 skin, and if you want that $20 skin, well, you better save up them V-Bucks, and you know what I mean. Like to me, that's a little bit better than people like when John Wick came out, and every people that I knew play the game, they were like, I was like, how much was it? They're like, oh, $20. I was like, oh, like $20 for one skin? Fuck you. Like I hated that shit. But it's like at least they have the options for the more casual players. You play a little bit here and there, and then you have a reason. Like if you get the battle pass this season, you get Mando from Mandalorian, and if you do all the quests, you get his armor and his Beskar plates, and you upgrade him. I'm like, that's pretty fucking awesome.
That's what
they got me. Fucking epic. They got me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But there are definitely ways to do it. They just gotta, I don't know, but that can definitely work. A sports game, like $5 a month, and you just update the rosters, and they keep it updated every week. They update the rosters with rankings and shit like that. $5, that'd be
people will fuck with it. People will respect it, because I know some hardcore sports enthusiasts who love these games. If you do it right and you deliver nothing but heat, they gotta start handling sports games the way these motherfuckers are out here handling Fortnite and Warzone.
Bro, you do leaderboards with betting. You could have people like bet.
That's what I'm saying. Like they could easily do some fire. Think of different ways, and you'd get more people in. So
that shit'll make me play games.
It's NBA and the NFL. They're the culprits of this shit. They sell the licenses and they know what the fuck they're is happening.
Listen. I'll give you guys a cut. I'll give you 10% of or 15% off of whatever they make with betting through it, and we'll give you another 5 or some shit for endorsement, and then we take everything else.
That's what I'm saying. Like they could easily do some fire shit. That's what I'm saying. Like there's no esports. Is there esports with regular sports games?
Regular sports games? I don't know.
Like NBA, and is that a thing? I mean, there probably is, but you don't. They don't get
very popular, but
I don't think it's on like Overwatch level of popular, right?
Yeah, they definitely have NFL tournaments. They're more like on the scale. I mean, there's probably someone out there listening to us who's like, oh, they don't know about XYZ, but from what I've seen, the ones I've seen or come across, they're handled like kind of like the early Evo days.
Like like the fighting
EFW halls. Like they're in places like that.
That makes sense.
So I mean, it's one of those things where I know that they're out there. They're just they're not. Nobody. We got real sports. That's the whole thing. Nobody wants to sit there and watch people play basketball, as realistic as that is, when you could go watch basketball.
Real basketball.
Watching people play Fortnite and Call of Duty, that shit is a whole different thing. So I can see people coming out of droves to watch that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we got to move on for time. All right. So, you still got news to cover.
All right. You know what? I'll make it quick. I'm just gonna cover 2. All right. Number 1, Ryan Coogler. This is not gaming news, but I'm the guy that I give you stuff that's in the realm of fantasy and fun. So whatever. It kind of mixes in there, right? The Wakanda series is coming with Ryan Coogler on Disney Plus. So
nice.
I'm pretty sure this was those guys are really good at foreseen. You know, they know what they want to do, like 7, 8, 9 years out, even longer. I'm pretty sure that this new, because they just revealed a bunch of stuff at the Disney Investors Day, and this wasn't on there. So I'm pretty sure that what this was a way to say, we just had Chadwick Boseman pass away. There's a lot that we have to a lot of gaps we have to fill in order to replace him, or for his mantle to be kind of taken over without replacing him, because he's not being recasted. And I think that the form of a series is a really smart and easy way to do that. So I think that that's what they're going for. The Wakanda series is more than likely gonna come out before the Black Panther 2 movie. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're gonna blend into each other to give you an idea of why T'Challa's not in the series, or
Right.
why he's not in the world and what happened, and then the movie's gonna be like the big fucking deal,
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So that's pretty cool, and it's Ryan Coogler coming back, man. I mean, you can't knock the guy. He major success, Creed, Fruitvale
Yeah.
Station, Black Panther 1. The guy is on fire right now, and he's probably one of the top writers and directors over at Marvel. So that's awesome.
Yeah, good for him. He's killing it.
Yeah, talking about what were we talking about earlier? Tournaments and games like COD. 60,000 Call of Duty players were just banned for cheating.
Yup.
This is what you motherfuckers get when I'm hiding and you shoot me through 3 walls.
Hell yeah. No, it's good, man, because
when I'm fucking diving and you headshot me as I'm fucking flying through the air at 80 miles per hour somehow with a pistol.
Yeah. I'm in the or what about all that shit? There's like you're in the gas and they're like just hitting themselves with the syringe, just keeping themselves alive. That's more of a glitch. But I think out of these 60,000 people, it's like people just surviving in the gas, just keeping themselves alive, running around in the gas.
Just gonna live your life in there, huh? Just gonna
exactly.
Just
living there, the best life in the gas.
I feel like battle royale games have come such a long way in like 2 years. Because just 2 years ago, me and Games were playing H1Z1, and that game was broken as fuck.
Yeah,
I remember you guys were in love with that shit.
That game
was fun. I'm sorry, there's hardly anything else like it as far as like car-based. It being a car-based battle royale, I love that it was a car-based one. We don't really have that right now.
It's true. Listen, that game, when you caught a victory in that game, that shit felt like you won the lottery. Like I felt like I really won some shit in real life. I'll never forget. Me and Games had a moment in that game one day where it was us and 3 other people on the map. He got downed. I ended up sniping the last 2 people. It was beautiful.
Yeah, nice. I believe it's on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and it felt like we won something.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the battle royales, man. The whole game is for that moment at the end where you get that rush and
when that music comes on.
Hell yeah,
that's what it's all about. You're just working your way towards that moment.
Yep.
But not for nothing, that's what got me into streaming. If it wasn't for H1Z1, I probably wouldn't be streaming because I was under the misconception that you had to be good at games to stream. I didn't know what streaming was about. I just thought like people want to see skill and wins and all that. So it's like we got so hard into that game, and then Fortnite was like blowing up around the same time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't care about Fortnite. I was like, I liked the whole driving mechanic of, simple. You got there's only like 10 weapons in that whole game. No attachments. It's just get your weapons that are good, that you're good with. Wait for those drops to fall and have firefights at the drops. And when
that second drop came and that sniper rifle was in that.
Yep, the purple drops, and then I'm telling you, like there's not for nothing. There's not really. I think Warzone's probably the closest thing, in my opinion, that I really enjoy how the simplicity, but it can also be complex, plus the giant like buildings. And like I think Warzone's probably the only other one that I really like that kind of grabbed me the same way H1Z1. Not as much, but it's close, it's closer than anything else I've played.
Did you play Apex or
PUBG? No, I played the shit ton of Apex. Don't get me wrong. I played a shit ton of Apex.
I was gonna say, yeah. Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, as far as like the feel of like the more military, Apex is, more like the hero type thing. And don't get me wrong, I love Apex. I love the speed of it. I love when they did the train event where you could respawn. I've bought the battle pass for Apex a few times, and I have a good amount of characters, but they, I have to get into season 8. I haven't played the new map yet, but I have my stretches of it. But I don't know. I'm just saying, like, huh?
You didn't like PUBG?
PUBG? No, I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I like them. I'm like the person who buys the other thing. I don't play with the main. You know what I mean? Like I had a Zune instead of an iPod back in the day. Shout out to the Zune.
I think that'd be the closest comparison to H1Z1. And yeah, shout out to the Zune. I had one of those.
Yeah, that shit, Zoom was fire, but that's all.
It really wasn't, but
but
not good.
No, I know. I mean, but they started before Spotify, before Apple Music. You had fucking Microsoft's music service that went on.
I was gonna say, yeah, the Zune app was actually really fucking fire. That I will, yeah.
That is. I just enjoyed it because it was the other one, but. Either way, I played Ring of Elysium, which is a lot like PUBG.
Okay.
But I like that one only because you had the grappling hook, you had bicycle, you could call out a bicycle, and I like the whole not esports, extreme sports, aspect to it. Snowboarding while you're shooting your gun. Like I thought shit like that was cool. But yeah, I think we
Is that me? Is that you?
Oh no, that's the fire alarm. Pepper's Pepper's trying to ruin my podcast over here.
Shut up.
Listen, we know the podcast is hot, okay?
Yeah, the podcast is fire over here.
Turn it down. Listen, take the batteries out whenever we're on the air because it gets hot in here.
That 9-volt out of here. Get it out of here.
Effort, take out the batteries, please. We're on the air.
We know the podcast is hot.
Por favor.
Someone change their background to an inferno right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Gotta put a little fire effect right here.
Yeah, fire.
Oh man, but I guess this time we kind of got sidetracked a lot here, but let's get on with the news of the week. I mean, no, we did that already. Topic of the day.
Yo, I told you I don't come over here looking for no perfect podcast. We fumbling.
Yeah, we fumbling. This is so hot today.
We keep
it. I set my chair on fire, dog. Look at this.
Look at that. He's exploding out there, like.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Come on, bro.
So
what do we got on the list today, man?
Let me take you back to a time, back in 1996. To a small town, that had this lovely mansion with stationary cameras that didn't move, horrible acting, and zombies. I think you might have heard of this town called Raccoon City, one of the best horror games of the time, Resident Evil to ever come out, to ever do it.
Yes,
buddy.
And
that's Sage.
Yo,
no, this is Palo Santo.
It's Sage.
Oh my god, the only fatty there.
Stick Sage. Yeah.
What you call it? So yeah, Resident Evil, man. One of them, I remember my boy Mike had that game on.
I get my energy right.
PlayStation had that shit on PlayStation 1, and I'll never forget.
It's always Michael, right? Nicholas. Yeah. We've talked about this guy before. It's always fucking Mike.
When's he coming on, bro?
I know, we got to get him on here one of these days. You know what it is?
We're gonna get Mike here when we have our Bloody Roar Tekken talk. That's it.
Ooh.
Yo, there you go. You got it.
There is no other person I want on this podcast other than Nicholas. Yeah, because he would make sounds when he busted my ass with King. I'm talking about all that shit people do now in games like Dragon Ball, where they don't let you touch the floor. This motherfucker was doing that to me in Tekken 1.
Atlas packs.
Shameful.
You know the facts. You got to get them. That's it.
Listen, that's it, bro. Listen. I know what it is, and I know Mike is the biggest Bloody Roar and Tekken fanatic there is. There's nobody more perfect to have on that show. But yeah, I have a funny memory with Mike and Resident Evil also. But I'll let you continue.
No, I was just gonna say the reason why I bring up Mike a lot is because he was that friend that had everything. See, my mother, and Adocat, I know you know about this. My mother was always strict with bullshit. If I didn't do well in school or, I got in trouble with something, she was always putting away my video games. She hated buying me video games, or whatever. So Mike was the one who's parents bought him everything. He had Sega CD, he had 32X, he had the PlayStation when it was still $400 when it dropped. So he had all the dope shit. So it's like every time I say, yeah, back in the day, I actually got to experience all of my old school video game stuff simply because he was the friend that had everything, you know. So I wanted to play PlayStation up. The only thing I think he didn't have was the Saturn. It's the only console he didn't have. Which is a tragedy because that would have been awesome playing fucking perfect X-Men versus Street Fighter on fucking Sega Saturn. Yeah, but I know. We only had one. You remember the one friend that actually had that? I think they went to his house once. Remember from middle school? This dude, he was related to our other friend, Fran.
Who's that?
You remember? I forget his actual name. He was cousins with Fran. That he had a Sega Saturn. Used to cut school. Mr. Frick hated him.
Fuck. Who is this person?
I forgot his fucking name. Anyway, we're going way off. Yeah. But either way, you know, so yeah, he had all the dope shit, and I got to play Resident Evil Part 1 on that shit with all the bad acting, and I loved the hell out of that game.
Yeah. I remember graduating junior high and literally right after graduation walking from 96th Street along Broadway with my balloons and my cap and gown, thinking I'm the shit. Everybody's excited. Summertime's about to start. I go into Cyber Games, and this was like the name. Cyber Games. Shout out to Cyber Games. This is the local Douglas Projects Upper West Side spot. If you weren't there, you was just a bum, bro. Like straight up. And I walked in there, and he was in there with his parents buying Resident Evil 2 as a graduation gift.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Ask him. I never even spoke to him about this. But ask him about that. Ask him when he bought Resident Evil 2, and I guarantee you it's the day we graduated. I walked in there. He was in there with his mom's getting that shit as a gift. That was his graduation gift.
Wow.
That's funny.
Yep, Resident Evil 2, bro. And that, to me, favorite Resident Evil ever. I don't give a fuck.
Hell yeah.
Anybody says. The remake was cool, but fuck that. I want to see a dude fucking lose control of a truck and blow some shit up. I don't want to.
Exactly. Resident Evil 2 for sure was my favorite horror. I wouldn't. Horror. I guess is for Resident Evil is a loose term for the '90s version, but yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite games. That is like we talked about last time. I had the walkthrough on GamePro, and I was at your crib, AutoCAD, playing because again I didn't have a PlayStation until mad late. And I played the shit out of that. I don't know if I beat the game like more than once, but I know I played that shit like crazy at your house one weekend.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I remember because I love that fucking game.
No, I'm saying I don't remember if you beat it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. No, I remember you used to come over and you'd play all this shit. You used to fucking love Take Over, which was fine.
Because I didn't have anything. I still have my Sega Genesis well into the late 90s. I think I finally got a PlayStation like 98, so it was like had been out, at the time. But what was you have any favorite horror games from at least back in the day?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I mean, Resident Evil 2 is definitely probably one of my favorites for sure. When it comes to old school, I mean, does Silent Hill 2 count as old school?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And that's definitely it's like it's weird because it's my favorite horror game / my least favorite horror game because it was super fun. Basically because it was really good at what it did.
Right.
And it was so good at what it did that it was too scary for me to finish. So I never beat that game.
Oh shit.
I just couldn't. It was so horrifying. I remember the moment. And I actually stopped playing horror games for years and years afterwards because I was at home by myself playing. And it's a scene where you're going down, you take the elevator, and you're chasing after,
I know what you're talking about.
Pyramid Head, right? You hear him, the camera angles. So it sets you up in such a way that you think he's in front of you. So you start backing up from him. And as you're backing up, the camera's in front of you looking behind you. And as you're backing up, you're like, fuck, he's right in front of me. And instead, he comes behind you out of nowhere. And the fucking music kicks up. And I threw my controller up. I paused. I ran out. Bro, I lost my shit. I lost it. Yep. And I was like, you know what? I paused it. I turned it off. I was like, I'm good. And I never turned it back on.
Oh, shit.
I watched playthroughs to, finish the story. But I was like, nah, I'm done. That shit had me so shook.
Wow. Yeah.
The next game after that, I think, was Dead Space. Was when I fucking played horror games. What a way to start horror games again.
Yes.
That was the next one after. Yeah.
Listen, that's kind of. I'm glad you mentioned Silent Hill and what made you stop playing horror games, because
Bro.
what we were thinking about is what makes a survival horror game a survival horror game. Like, when does it stop
Mhm.
becoming survival horror, and
Yeah.
when does it start becoming an action game with horror elements, or that game's pretty scary? No, fuck that.
Right.
What game scared the shit out of you? Like, for me, games like Fatal Frame.
Oh yeah.
That game was fucking horrific.
Yeah, that game
Um,
is something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. But that was scary because of the mechanics, right?
Yeah, both. Yeah, because you were in a
Okay.
dark area and then you didn't have weapons. You had a camera.
camera, right?
Right. Yeah.
That was something. The Suffering,
Yo, the suffering.
boy, not that game does not get talked about. If any of our listeners has never played The Suffering, and you have a PlayStation 2, listen, they're cheap. Buy one just for that game and just keep getting your library up, because games like Fatal Frame, Silent Hill 2, that game, The Suffering, bro, was the shit. Like, that game had moments where I thought I was safe, didn't pause the game, and then, like, out of nowhere you just see like an apparition show up on the screen and a loud thunder, and it'll just randomly scare the fuck out of you. Like, the game punished you if you try to take a break. And I love that game, man. I love that game.
I remember I played this on the Xbox because they released it for the Xbox too.
Yeah, I
think
believe
that's why I
yeah.
finally played it. Yeah, and I just remember it also reminded me a lot of Thrill Kill, like the character with knives on stilts and shit.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Some of the people looked a lot like Thrill Kill. That was a creepy. You're right. That was a creepy game.
Yeah.
But the action elements kind of kept it from being too terrifying, I guess. For
right.
me.
That's the kind of part of, like, I love how that game was dark and fucking weird.
Yeah.
It also didn't feel like a survival horror. You know what I'm saying? Like, the I feel like maybe the fixed camera angles is the biggest part of what makes it feel like you're being watched and gives it that old school feel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's the lack of control.
Yeah.
For, like, when it comes to,
Makes
like,
it
old
very
school
linear.
Japanese horror games, yeah, like that's like, if you want to make something scary, a real easy way to do it is take away control over the character. And I think that's a big reason why Silent Hill terrifies me. It's because you're not athletic. It's like the exact opposite of, like, Dr. Disrespect. There's no violence, speed, or momentum. It's just pain, suffering, and fear, and you're like a clunky moron running through molasses at all
Exactly.
times.
And I think that's, like, thinking about the original Silent Hill, because obviously when that came out, you're comparing it to Resident Evil, and
Right, yeah.
what I think that's what always freaked me out about Silent Hill, that in Resident Evil you're a badass, like, special police force cop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
You got guns and shit.
yeah, and then in Silent Hill you're like, what, some author? Like, you're a regular dude,
Like a stay-at-home dad or some shit.
Yeah, like, you're just a regular old guy. Like, you're like a nobody. I was like, wait, I remember, and this Mike had the game, and I remember asking, I was like, oh, what, like, I was like, what is, like, what's this game? He's like, oh yeah, he's like an author. I was like, an author? I'm like, does he have a gun? Like, I was so confused at the idea of a regular ass, and that's the genius of it if you think about it. This wasn't a common thing. Every action game we played was, army, military, or police force, or a badass criminal or something. But a regular old average Joe being put in a horrible situation was so, like, weird to me at the time. And I think that's what was genius to this day about the Silent Hill games. You were always a regular person,
Exactly.
And like you said, when it comes to survival horror, besides, like, I agree with you, lack of control, the person watching. And that's what, if you ever played the original Resident Evil 1 and then played the the director's cut, what was great about the director's cut is that they fit a lot of the camera angles where were altered to give you that more of that feel. So if you remember the first room to the right, when you walk in, you see the first zombie, and then you run the other way to where the map is. When you, in the original game, you walk in, you're just behind, Jill or whoever, Chris, you're just behind them. And then, there's like a chest or a chair thing you push. But in the director's cut, the camera's faces them. So now in between the curtains, there's some curtains there, and it's like someone's watching you, and that's what made the director's cut way more freaky. Like, it completely changed the feel of the game. And I'm like, it's true. Those camera angles, definitely give it a way different feel.
Absolutely.
The dread, not knowing if something's really watching you or what. And I think that's awesome. And then it's putting you in that perspective too. So it's like, it's putting the player in the perspective of the potential, enemy, or monster or whatever.
Right.
So
It's
yeah,
just such a good storytelling mechanic, and it basically allows a good director to show off why they're a good director. You know what I mean? Like they can really paint the picture and make it a more narrative experience when they
exactly.
fuck with the angles like that. It's crazy.
It's true. You could really.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it. I'm gonna talk about something else in terms of like what makes the game scary, but
Yeah, like you could really fuck with the whole atmosphere of something if you do it right, and that's what they knew how to do that. And
oh wait, hold on, fuck.
Don't tell me that wasn't recording. I'll
No,
cry.
I mean the audio's recorded. There was an error with the video. Hold on one second. I mean, It is what it is. If it'll just have to go. I'll just put a picture or something.
Yeah.
So just make a pose. Okay, that's all I need. I'll cut that, and that's gonna be it. All right. For all you guys listening to the audio track, something got screwed up here. So sorry, there's no picture at the moment.
No games you suck. Never again. Never again.
I'm wondering if it's. Sorry to cut you. I know that kills the momentum. Let me just. Maybe it's the fold. No, but
you're gonna begin recording though, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna record in a second. Hold on. I'm just making sure where this is. Oh, I haven't checked that. All right, I'm recording again.
Oh.
Yeah. It must have stopped at like 39 minutes, so I'll keep that in mind. 39 minutes.
That was way back.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I mean, at least we got the audio, so I mean that's the most important part. I mean,
that is the most important part. But
true,
we got pretty for this, baby. We whipped out.
I was gonna say, man.
We whipped out the Gucci of council.
And I'm an idiot. I told you how to pause to do the pose before I even started recording again, so we got to do it again. Yeah. Okay. All right. So fuck, man, that killed the momentum big time. All right. So as we were saying, what was the last thing you were talking about?
I like turtles.
What were you talking about, Cat?
So I think you
you were
you were talking about how it just adds to the atmosphere, the camera angles.
All right, yeah. When it comes to the camera angles, like you mentioned, like that sense of not being in control, that definitely adds to it. And I feel like you look at what Hideo did with PT, even as a first-person game, he kept that same concept. Like there were moments where you'd turn a corner, like there's one corner to turn on that whole game, and when you turned it, you always knew there was gonna be some shit going on and down that hallway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you didn't know what it was going to be. And I remember just the lighting changing and that scene with the fridge above the fucking above the light and the kid screaming and there's blood pouring out of it.
That shit's fucked up. Yeah.
You see, that's for me. There's levels to this survival, like to horror games. You got survival horror, you got action horror. To me, an action horror game is something more like The Suffering.
Right.
It has like some a shooter elements, like third person shooter elements or whatever, but it's a horror game. And then you have survival horror like Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 1 through 3. Part 4 Resident Evil is an action horror. It has horror elements, but that game is mostly action and people love that.
And you can buy your stuff, and like you said, what makes it survival is the lack of equipment. So when you can go buy your stuff from a merchant, that kind of takes away from the
it takes away. Now you got a guy, what are you buying, and he opens his jacket. That was you would never catch that happening at the fucking police station.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? It makes everything a lot more easier, but
it's
still
no, go ahead.
But it still worked. They did a great move with that. But when it comes to certain games, you have, I feel like there's another level even further, which is where shit is just kind of demented. And in that category is games like PT that had that scene with that fridge and the blood and the child screaming like it's being attacked in there or some shit. Like you
Yeah.
just the fact that you got to think this much and it's something that dark, and then you hear a tale about a person who murdered his entire family on the
Yeah.
radio. That's demented. You had elements in the game, um, the suffering, where it's like he murdered his entire family, and there were parts about slave burial grounds and people being shot to death and crazy wild shit in this game.
Yeah,
That to
mind
me is,
fucks. Yeah.
yeah, and then you got the games that are way above that, way past that line. Games like you know I forgot what game that it was called. It was like a PC game. It's like a really 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 kind of dark PC game that came
Like
out.
Postal?
No, that was fucking crazy. Postal
Yeah.
was nuts.
In a
But
different way. Yeah.
That's
no, the
comedy.
game, yeah, you had games like, I mean, if we're talking about games that was just fucking fucked up, Hatred was probably the worst. Remember that game Hatred, where you just a guy that wants to kill people for no reason?
Is that the one? Yeah, I know there's one that was a lot of controversy came out about it because it was just like Columbine, pretty much. You just go in and just kill everybody.
Yeah, it's like a black and white overhead
fucked up.
kind of next gen overhead camera type of game, but you could just run up in people's houses and fucking lose your mind. I'm talking about shooting up entire fucking. It's black and white. That's how much blood is in the
What are you
game.
gonna do with B&E?
It was like I mean, I'm talking about going up to bus stops and just murdering people there, and people running in their house trying to get out the back. Like it's a freaky game. But the game others were trying to
So
remember
it was a Chi-Town simulator, is what it was.
right. But sticking to the whole horror theme, Agony.
Yeah.
You guys know that game, Agony?
Agony.
I know it. I haven't played that one though.
Bro, I've been watching games, like videos of that game for years. I've yet to actually play it myself. That game is dark as fuck. There is a scene in that game
pretty
where a
fucking
dude
dark,
is
yeah.
taking babies and stacking them into like a wall and putting bricks on top of their bodies, and then he's using like the babies as glue to keep this wall together, and you're basically in hell. You're a person who's trapped between, like, you're in hell, dude.
Yeah, this is like so I guess this would Dante's Inferno. That would count as, I guess, a certain type of horror.
Yeah,
Because this is the same shit. You're going through all the different levels of hell, and it's got weird, fucked up monsters like this. You got creepy babies with like limbs.
Right.
That came out.
Shit.
What, 3, 4
I'm looking
years
at some
ago
of this.
Yeah, the game
Yeah,
is.
this
If
reminds me
anybody,
a lot of Dante's Inferno.
yeah, dude, like, yeah, I know there's some like magic element to the game where you could use like magic in some way, but
okay.
I could be, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but yeah, this
So
game.
what kind of? So this would be like gore horror, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, what would you even label this as?
I mean, I would call it as edgy horror.
I mean, I think it describes itself as what did it say? Fantasy horror, so fantasy survival horror, a dark fantasy survival horror.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's how they describe it. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But
then,
that's cool.
You had said, well, I'm sorry, I don't know if you were finished, Jose.
No, I'm good.
No, and then you had something you were gonna say.
Me?
Yeah.
It was just more like oh yeah, it was just another element like that makes games scary that I think I appreciate a lot in games. And the more we talked about like PT, well, I was gonna ask you guys too, like what's like your favorite aspect of horror games? Like which way of the director or the creator scaring you do you enjoy the most? Like is it the pop out scares? Is it the atmosphere? Because like PT like kind of did a lot of them. All in, you know what I mean? Like they do so many, like they do the control, they nail the atmosphere, but then orally, not that oral, music wise, sound effect wise, they nail it. Like that fridge and that baby are so creepy. If you got rid of everything on screen and just heard that would scare the fuck out of you, I think.
Right.
Like I know people who couldn't play that game. Like they couldn't watch me play the game. Like legit, they could not do it because of like those scenes with like the kids and the sound of the screaming baby and shit.
To me, I would say like I like mind fucks. So like Silent Hill type. So I like things that make you think, that like and audio. Like I don't really care for jump scares too much. Like
Okay.
I know natural. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But when it relies only on that shit, kind of like it just startles you, and that kind of fucks with me. So it's like after a while, it's like it becomes tiring. Sometimes it could be good, like it could be funny, and certain times I don't mind it. Like Dark Pictures, the anthology or whatever. Those like the people who did like Man of Medan and the latest one where you make the choices and stuff. That has some jump scares that were like they were good. Like they kind of like they fucked with you a little bit, but the story around it was pretty awesome and interesting. So it's like as long as there's good story, I don't mind it. But I like something that makes you think. Like like that has like deeper meaning. Like I'm enjoying the Medium right now for what it is. Like the Medium, like I just got up to a part that kind of like was like, oh shit, like it's getting deep with its aspects. Like I like shit like that, like emotions that shit like that, where it's like the like in Silent Hills, you're inside more in the person's mind a lot of the time. You know what I mean? It's like you're dealing like you're going in the depths of the psyche and shit like that. Like shit that makes you think after the fact. That's the type of horror shit I like.
I got you. Okay.
I agree with that. Yeah, that for me, I'm really what makes my favorite type of survival horror is the detail and atmosphere, man. Like for me, all I've ever wanted. This is why getting back to the Medium, because let me first say that game is the shit. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the fuck out of that game, and I'm gonna say why. I could appreciate people when they know the power they have to release a game that looks a certain way, but they say, you know what, rather than go a million other routes that we could go that are overdone, let's just go back to formula. Shout out to Willem Dafoe. Anybody in Spider-Man reference, but they go back to formula. You know what I'm saying? And when they go back to formula, you know what happens? They end up making something that was already good and much better. And I feel like that's what the Medium does with the whole fixed camera angles. It doesn't feel like it feels almost identical to when I first touched Resident Evil 2. The world just picking up a fucking clue and hitting Y, and you see it say like it's a letter. You know what I mean? Like that element, I got tired of seeing games where people actually lift stuff and when they pull it up to the screen, you're reading what's on the letter. I love the fact that you could do that, but that you hit Y and that plain white dialogue just pops up.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Does it feel like too old school? Like those controls, like it doesn't like feel like too clunky and just like
because it's not tank controls. It's still like 360, like you can move it anywhere you want.
Right. It's not tank controls. So right now, what you have is an old formula redone, but they fucking kill it because now you have the power to do so much with backgrounds and like that horizon line that you couldn't do before. Like I'm not gonna spoil any part of this game for some people, but I've reached some parts in that game that legitimately had me excited that this is where we are now with that type of game, because I feel like we get a lot of fantasy games, we get a lot of RPGs, we get a lot of shooters, you got a lot of fighters out there, and you're not really, you're showing a certain thing unless you have a horror. Like a horror is a very specific genre to hit right. So if you can create an atmosphere and make it look that way, it's looking like it already looks different from a lot of other games, because in other games you don't feel the need to include that type of dark tone. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, like when it comes to certain games like this, there's a certain tone you're going for. And now the graphics are there. It's like they fucking killed it. Like there were some parts where like I saw monsters in the distance in the sky, and I'm like, you know what? Like I could see the power of like what you could do with next gen consoles. And this is just the beginning. Like this is literally the first gen of games on these new consoles. But it's just crazy to see like what they could do with that. You've been seeing what they could do with games like RPGs and how beautiful they can make games look and how vibrant and how nice they could set a world and give a tone, or the realism in games like GTA and stuff like that. But when it comes down to like a horror game where you want like a certain type of creates a mood and those graphics are available, you can see the difference, and I love that. Like that's the whole green filter, that yellowish kind of dead feel in certain parts, and then that bluish kind of movie. The audio is amazing. Akira Yamaoka. Again,
Well, see, that's my angle. Don't take it. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Oh no, just about. Have you played Medium at all?
Not yet. I'm waiting. I'm trying to clear some backlogs. So I got to beat
Okay.
Yakuza.
Okay.
I mean, it's
And
only like 8 to 10
Wasteland
hours
3.
long, so
Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna play it though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but just like I just wanted to say that one thing about the audio is that's what's
Yeah.
been getting me with this game, like.
Yeah.
Because as you already know, you have the whole split screen aspect or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but then you have moments where it's not you still can see the spirit world or whatever.
Yeah. You can see
That
both at the
she's
same time, right?
Yeah. So, but when you see just the spirit, well, no, I think it's whether it's split screen or not. Whenever you deal with that spirit
Okay.
world, it sounds like you're in hell. Like you hear the faraway
Right.
screams and the
Uh,
like you don't know. It's that sense of like where the fuck is that, or like what the fuck is that? Is that something coming at me, or it's like going through it. You have those little senses of dread. Like I had to put it down. I was playing it while Pfeffer was streaming the other night, so I'm just here like by myself playing. I was just like, oh, fuck. Like I had to like just it has a few jumps, but like it feels more worth it, and it feels like these shits are like there's like, and then the shit that they do with the ray tracing, this is the future. Like this is just the beginning that I'm like this is basic because Team Bluebirds, they're little, what I mean. They have layers of fear. I now I want to go play Blair Witch because I want to see how they did with that. And and I never played. I saw Pfeffer play some of Layers of Fear. I didn't play all of. I didn't see the whole game or whatever. So I was like, I kind of want to see what like their portfolio now, because I'm enjoying it. Like I gotta say, I do recommend it. It's not Resident Evil. It's not Silent Hill. It's its own thing. And it feels like a Team Bluebird game. If you ever play any of them, you'll probably see, okay, they learned this in Layers of Fear, or they got that. And he even says it. The director says it. He says everything we've learned from the 2012, whenever Layers of Fear came out till now, and they release games like every 2 years. I'm realizing every 2-3 years they got a horror game coming out. So these are
track record.
Yeah, they're usually fairly good from what I've heard. I haven't, like I said, I haven't played seen or played much of Layers of Fear 2, and I haven't touched Blair Witch yet, but apparently they were decent, like
I remember Blair Witch. It looked kind of cool. Like,
yeah,
it didn't look bad from what I saw. So.
Yeah, so it's on the series. I gotta turn it on. I'll see how it goes. It's on Game Pass.
I hear you. But yeah, that's my favorite thing. Like in terms of like these horror games, I think audio is really just the biggest shit. And like Dead Space does really well.
I was waiting for you to bring that back up. Yes.
Yeah, because I'm just realizing like all my favorite horror games, like Silent Hill 2, like what really scared me with the Pyramid Head, or what's triggered everything, was the sound of his sword scraping against the ground. Without it, I wouldn't have, there was nothing to be afraid of. I saw the, without that triggered everything. And in Dead Space, that opening in Dead Space is one of the most horrific, fast-paced but somehow action-packed scenes where you feel helpless because you're in the elevator, and it's just horrific.
Yep.
And then if you remember, there's a scene and it's just sound, but it kind of harkens back to Silent Hill, the radio, how it got super loud and staticky when the thing got close to you.
Yes.
But you couldn't fucking see it, so you would just be hearing it and be like, well, where is it? And freaking out. But in Dead Space, there was a scene where you just go down a fucking corridor. It's a simple-ass corridor, but out of nowhere, through some mechanisms, through the wall, some changing in the space station, it gets super fucking loud for just 10 seconds solid. And it's just raging like, it just sounds terrifying, but nothing happens.
Right.
Nothing happens, nothing pops out, nothing scares you, nothing attacks, nothing happens. It's just a loud noise.
And it
scares the fuck out of you.
That's what makes me sad about EA fucking over Visceral, and I'm so happy that they're coming out with their with their game that's supposed to be coming out soon. Is that they brought back survival horror. We had shit like Resident Evil 5, and we had bullshit coming out around that time. Silent Hill hadn't really made a huge impact since PS2 with Silent Hill 4, and we just really weren't getting anything. So when Dead Space came out, they brought back in a sci-fi survival horror, and I thought that shit, with the lore, with the interesting lore, with the whole tower thing, and you being that guy, like the way them using like the technology to do it, being in the space station, like they brought you having only a few bits of ammo at a time, and you really had to scrounge up or save your ammo or use your melee attack so you didn't waste shit. That was survival horror at some of its best at the time. Like,
and the enemies required technique.
Yes.
That's how they were. Like, you had a weapon, so it was like, all right, you have a weapon, you're not like useless like in Silent Hill, but it wasn't just like, all right, you have a weapon, it's Resident Evil, you just shoot them now. Like, no, like you still had to know like certain monsters you weren't going to take out with like a line gun. You needed the rail gun angled at a certain angle to take out their feet, or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shoot their joints. Yup. Shoot their arms off with their leg to slow them down with their legs. Yes. Like it added the best of both worlds of action horror and survival horror put together. Like that first game was great. 2 was decent. I never played part 3, but I know 2 was still pretty good. It wasn't as scary in my opinion as 1. Like 1 really had that atmosphere. 2 made it a little bit more action, but was still pretty worth the playthrough. But
it was, because 2 had too many characters popping in, and then it got a little, they were trying to tell the story now, which is fair. So it kind of
exactly, like so like I said, 2 did what it had to do, but it's unfortunate at the time they didn't know what to do with multiplayer. I wanted people to everything multiplayer was added to like everything at that time, where they didn't know this is between DLC and microtransactions coming out, so it's like EA didn't know what the fuck. And then they ended up closing fucking Visceral, and it's like, but anyway, that's a whole other thing. But
that was like Lost Planet. They tried to do the same thing. They fucked that game trying to add multiplayer.
Oh,
Lost Planet was a great series. Could still be a good series because there's nothing really like it besides like Monster Hunter. And then Dead Space they fucked, but sad, very sad.
Shout out.
What's your least favorite thing about horror games?
Well, for me, I would say like I said, too much relying on jump scares, like cheap jump scares with not much to it, I have to say. And anything with like a kind of a weak story, like I like lore to open up, you know what I mean? Like when you're just like being scared. And I haven't tried it yet. I haven't gotten into it yet, but what's the game where you're the guy with the camera, the hide and seek? It's kind of like a hide and seek game. What the hell is it called?
I don't know.
They have like
Donkey Kong.
Yeah, they have 2 of them.
There's one version of horror that none of us had mentioned, and it's kind of funny that we haven't. But
which one is that?
I don't even know how you would describe it, but
and Outlast is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was shit. All right, so we were thinking the same thing. Yeah, the Outlast style horror, where
it's the like hide and seek type deal. Yeah,
because Alien Isolation is the same shit, and I did not enjoy that at all.
Oh yeah, I gotta try it now.
I haven't played those games.
I haven't tried.
I haven't really touched them like that. But would you say that that's like if it's kind of a hide and seek horror game, is it like a stealth horror?
I guess stealth horror.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Right. So that's a genre, huh?
I guess stealth horror. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean,
I'm just not sure what the fun in it is.
Like I tried Outlast and I couldn't do it at the time, and I didn't realize Alien Isolation was. I mean, I know it's about one alien stalking you, but I didn't even put 2 and 2 together with that.
It's the same thing. It's
just
hiding in cabinets, waiting for it to walk by you 10 times, and it's. I don't know.
Yeah, and people do love to stream those games. Those are good for streaming, in my opinion. Like certain horror games are good for streaming. Like where you have an audience with you, you have people to like, just the security maybe, But I don't know. I didn't like. That's what I didn't like about Outlast. It felt too, like, if I'm getting anxiety playing the game, I can't fuck with it. You know what I mean? Like it's like I just can't. That's why I'm like I'll be the first one to be like, I'm a bitch. Fuck it. Fuck Outlast. Like fuck that game.
What about The Evil Within?
That's the guy who directed the original Resident Evil. I know was either producer or director on that, and I didn't. I didn't play too. I got stuck in the beginning with the first one. I heard good things about the sequel, but I haven't really played it.
The game is good.
Yeah, you played all through the first one.
Yeah, I have it right back there.
Nice. And another game that was kind of scary that isn't billed as a horror, but could be in certain situations. But the first BioShock, the first modern BioShock, that shit was kind of creepy and scary, dog.
What do you mean modern? What was the non-modern one?
Oh, well, I'm thinking System Shock.
Okay.
Yeah. Same, whatever. But yeah, that shit was terrifying, especially when you go down into like the dentist area and all of a sudden the lights go off and like all of a sudden you're like introduced to the fact that this is a horror game. You're like, oh.
I got I've coined the term cabineted in that game, where I got
Cabinet.
stuck. I got stuck in a cabinet as background. When you get stuck in the assets, and that game doesn't have autosave, so I lost like an hour of progress. Fucking getting stuck in the background. So
in BioShock.
Yeah, in the original BioShock. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Because
I mean, that's not terrible.
Yeah, I know, but I was just I lost so much atmosphere, and the game, the shooting in the game is not my favorite, so it's just like, I put it down after that. Nah, I never played past that one part.
What?
Yeah, I know. I wanted to. I tried so many times to start the game. I was determined. I was on stream. I was like, yo, I've never been that far. It's probably like 4 or 5 hours into the game. And then, like I said, I lost like an hour and a half of progress getting stuck, and I just kind of I didn't want to do it all over again. When I saw where I was like, I gotta do. Huh?
If I have one recommendation for you, it's try the game again and try to beat it. It's so good when do you know the whole ending thing?
No, I don't know anything about it. So
oh my god, yeah.
I mean, that's why I couldn't do it again. I had to kind of like, I have to give it a break. It's been a while now. It's been like, I think that was 2018 or 2019. It's been like at least 2 years. So I will go back to it, but it's just like one of those, like, you know how it is when you're playing a game, and I wasn't addicted to the gameplay. So it's like, once I lost all that progress, I was like, fuck this shit.
Just do me a favor, and would you kindly play BioShock again? Once you get the powers, like all the cool powers, it's gonna be great. And
I'm better with mouse and keyboard too. I was enjoying it, so I'm like, I'll get back into it.
Yeah.
And now you're forcing me to, so I'll do it. I'll let you know. Maybe I'll stream it. Maybe when I run out of.
Trust me, just do it, and when you beat the game, come back and watch this stream.
All right.
Mark this time frame, and it's yeah.
Oh shit.
Another little. Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You take games like Max Payne, right? I love Max Payne. Everybody knows that. But there were parts of that game that had horror elements, like bad ones. Like, there's a part where you wake up in a nightmare and you're running on a trail of blood.
Oh yeah.
You hear your baby crying and your wife screaming for your name.
Yeah.
And there's people shoot. You hear gunshots and he's talking to himself. And this shit is kind of like in slow mo. Like, you don't have real control, and it's all the cameras right on your back. Like, see shit like that. That's people taking nods from. Listen, those guys at Remedy, they don't get enough props, man. I think that they're respected, and that's great. But I feel like they don't get enough props for creating a pretty dope. Like, I don't know who else is like. I'm talking about it because what you mentioned earlier about Silent Hill and it being like you're a fucking writer, and like Alan Wake.
Alan Wake, yeah.
That's the whole. He's a noir film writer or book writer, whatever.
Yeah.
And the world that they've created in Remedy feels like the world that was playing on TV in Max Payne.
I think it is.
So, dude, there's a character. There's a character that they wrote in the Alan Wake game where that person is voiced by James McCaffrey, who fucking did the voice of Max Payne, and he says the same exact shit that Max Payne would say. Like,
I was gonna say, I think there's a whole side story in Alan Wake.
There's a whole side story, and it's Max Payne, but they changed his name because by that point. Rockstar had the rights, but it was Max Payne, and he was saying shit like, they were all dead and blah blah blah, and they mentioned shit about a cop, a rogue story about in Control. It goes all the way to Control.
Like, I can't think of what they named the guy though. Shit, it's like, oh man, it's something like
Alex Lacey or some shit like that.
It's some shit that kind of fits in the same thing, but
it was, bro. They made a whole side story, but. The reason why this relates to horror is because those games have a certain feel, a certain tone that they feel like they're a horror game, but when you play them, it feels
definitely horror.
Yeah, that's a full blown. Even the games like Quantum Break and Control have elements, little parts in the game, little fucking nooks and crannies you find that end up being that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I really like Control. Control's really good, man.
I know. I gotta play Alan Wake first. I want to I want to appreciate some of the stuff before I get into So I have like Alan Wake everywhere, so I'll probably definitely get into that.
Alan Wake is definitely solid.
I was gonna say though, if we want to go way back, the first game that ever scared the shit out of me was Friday the 13th on NES. That shit First of all, the
Same
cover of
thing.
that shit is fucking just scary. Like he's holding some shit up in the air, ready to kill, and I hated
Isn't
looking
it
at
like
it.
blue? It's like
I think it's his
blue
machete.
reddish.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's the machete. Yeah, and the worst part was like, because you'd be playing the game and it has like that kind of like spooky music going with it, and then there was nothing worse than when you're walking and the screen stops scrolling, and so you
Yeah.
start walking to the end of the screen. You knew he was about to show up, so you'd walk and then he show up behind you and goes and his little Jason music would come on, and he was like in pause. Then you throwing rocks and shit, and then the same shit when you go inside the house. You'd be in a house and you have, it's like in that weird first person but not really view, and you have to kind of more like Punch Out. It kind of like turns into Punch Out in a way that you have to like move to the side to dodge his shit. And I never really thought of it. That's really just Punch Out. Holy crap. And that shit was really crazy. Sorry, I just had an epiphany. That whole shit is like the Punch Out engine, because when he's running, in his pink little jumpsuit, and you see New York, that's how the game is. You're essentially just walking to the side like that.
Oh wow. Shit.
Yeah, and then when you're in the house, you're literally in Little Mac's like point of view, and then he's like the big boxer. Like,
oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yo, I never thought about that shit. Friday the 13th is Punch Out.
Wow.
Obviously a slightly different modified engine, but it has to be the same engine. A lot of games did that back then. Holy shit. Sorry.
Same engine, or they just completely stole it. Like,
it's the same engine. Holy crap.
That's pretty crazy. Now, did I watch you play that? Because I remember being terrified of that game too.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was a sound when Jason popped up. It was fucking terrifying.
Well, if it's a licensed movie game, it's probably LJN. I think LJN did they published it. I'm not sure who did the actual game. But yeah, that shit I tore the cover off of that shit. Do I still have that?
Yeah, it's
anyway.
LJN. You could always tell with that bum ass rainbow in the corner.
Yup.
I remember this. I had this. This is fucking gnarly, man. This would be so fucking fire on a shirt.
Oh yeah, see, look, I still have my Friday the 13th. I did this shit as a kid. I tried tearing off the fucking thing, and I think it was like just enough that I just left it alone. I was like, fuck it.
I remember seeing that all the time. Yep.
I tore the. It's like Jason, destroy Jason if you can. And then this shit has like one of the most infamous fucking ending game over screens ever. It's like you and your friends are dead. Game over. Like on a Nintendo game, like on a Nintendo that was for children. You know how Nintendo was, and it's like just the end is just you and your friends are dead. The biggest troll ever. Like, sorry, good, later.
Like, how do we tell them that they're dead? Just right, you and your friends are dead.
Yeah, like it's a fucking horror game. What do you expect? And then he kills the children. Like, that's the shit. He goes after the children first. So it's one of the most bloody games if you think about it. Like, Jason's just killing little kids. You're playing a Nintendo game about a murderer killing little children. You have to stop him with rocks.
True.
Good luck, kids.
That game.
Shout out to the Medium for bringing all those vibes.
Word up.
Because what you just mentioned, like I said, I'm not going to spoil anything from the Medium, but that story is getting dark.
Yep.
I will say that it's getting.
You put some hours into it already?
Bro, I was stuck on the Medium yesterday for 6 hours.
Oh shit! Okay, so I don't know.
If any of our listeners is playing the Medium,
you're almost done, bro. You're finished.
Yeah, listen, you're probably damn. That means you might be past me. I don't even know how deep I'm into that shit. But
all I know is that I'm gonna tell you what my perfect combination is that makes that game, right? It has Resident Evil because of the whole element of, this it looks like it's missing a piece. How she talks to herself, and how the dialogue just pops up on the screen, and the whole combining shit. It's literally what you had in Resident Evil, like everything about it, combining pieces of letters or combining stuff, finding keys and using it for certain stuff.
Yeah,
all of that straight up Resident Evil. There's parts where you can reconstruct memories of fucked up things that have happened or cool things that have happened.
Kind of like the Division, like the the Division. Yeah,
like in Batman and Division.
Like Cyberpunk. Yeah,
right. They found a way to do that in this game, and it works because but the reason why I'm gonna say why I mention that is because the Suffering had something like that. The Suffering had moments where you ran into certain people or you went to certain parts of the stage, and you'd get a flashback of something that happened back in like the 1600s. And that's the
I
same thing with
gotcha.
this. Like, it gives you the same feel where you're like, yo, you're in a place where something really fucked up happened and you don't really know what.
Yeah.
So for me, that game is, if you take Resident Evil menu and like kind of the whole, the way they present information to you, that's Resident Evil. When it comes to flashbacks and like the feel of I'm stuck somewhere where some wild shit happened, I need to get to the bottom of this, that's The Suffering. And then I'm gonna shift it over to a film, Jennifer Lopez in The Cell, how she enters the mind of the killer, and
Yeah.
she ends up having to like figure out what is it in him that turned him into like this fucking serial murderer.
Yeah.
There's elements of that in this game where I found myself trying to figure out the human psyche of a person who done some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
That's deep, bro.
And
That's
that's where
Damn.
we were, yeah, that
I got up
the
to the
game
part.
gets like,
I'll just say this. I got up to the part.
Tread carefully now.
Finally let me out of the dark. I don't know if that rings any bells to you, but
hold on,
enough, enough.
say it again.
the dude. The dude. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I just
We're
got
done.
there.
Done.
All
Done.
right, but and I turned it off because then Pfeffer was in the living room. I was like, "You're gonna play this? This part just got fucking crazy. Get out of here!" But that shit. I'm dying to play. I'm probably gonna jump back on it as soon as
Yeah,
we're
I'm
done
jumping
here.
back on after we're done.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I wanted to finish it before the episode, but it's like so much, yo. But just going off really quick, shout out to Overblood. Overblood
Ooh.
is one of,
Wait.
before there was Dead Space, there was Overblood.
What?
The most fucking obscure PS1 survival horror game you will ever play. Horrible graphics, horrible acting in a facility. I don't think it wasn't in space. In a facility, awesome. Robot companion. Shout out to Peepo.
Shout out to Peepo, man.
Yo, and I just want to say, for such an obscure game that I feel like me and Jose are probably the only two people who played that shit.
Absolutely. You, me, and Mario.
Yeah, like
we are all over Blood Brothers.
This looks like they fucking took the Siphon filter engine and then took a shit on it.
Put it like this: that was before Siphon filter. Fuck that shit. But the reason it fits. But the funniest part to me is that the producer or on that shit was Akihiro Hino, who is like from games like Dragon Quest VIII, the director of Dragon Quest VIII, Dark Cloud, fucking Prince of Persia for the 3DO, Ni no Kuni, like Professor Layton, Yokai Watch. The guy,
so he's a bum. What you're telling me?
He is the CEO of Level 5, one of the biggest RPG makers out there. And he made Overblood. Like, he was like the head designer on fucking Overblood. That shit blew my mind.
Did they do a Star Wars game too? Level 5?
They might have. It was Electronic Arts, so probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I just thought that shit, like, they make a lot of RPGs Level 5. So like I said, Yokai Watch, Layton, a bunch of other shit. Like I said, Ni no Kuni, which is one of my favorites. White Knight Chronicles, if you're into that. I know a few people who are into that. But and Dark Cloud is one of my favorite PS2 like dungeon crawler type style games.
Dark Cloud was good.
Yeah, there's not enough like that. Like I really wish that Minecraft Dungeons was like Dark Cloud, where you go, you fight monsters and then you rebuild a whole town from overhead. Like, that shit was ahead of its time. That shit is still fun.
Yeah.
I got stuck on it like a year or two ago. It's on PS4. You can actually play it's the PS2 game, but it's I guess through emulation it runs well, and that game's fun. But anyway, that game is mad obscure. I only played like one time. I probably got to go back to it. It's clunky as shit. Tank controls. It was like right when at the height of like Resident Evil Part 1's like blew up. Overblood was like a thing, and they had a sequel, but it never came to the United States because it was so obscure. Nobody bought that shit.
And People was back. I
I've
do know
never
that.
seen that shit. Where did you even find this fucking game?
Jose, I don't know where Jose found it though.
Boy, this is
Shout
just
out to Cyber Games.
shit. Yo,
Where's
it
that?
wasn't
I'm
Cyber
waiting for that.
Games.
I'm
It
waiting
wasn't.
for that.
I don't even know, bro. I wish I
Oh,
could
wow.
tell you. I don't
Maybe,
know.
was it a magazine? I feel like you mentioned. I don't know where you heard about that game.
It might have been.
This definitely sounds like some free shit they had a giveaway.
But I went. I think I was at like Software Etc. up the block, and I'm pretty sure I saw it there because. And you had mentioned, you had talked about. I was like Overblood, and I had the real game. It wasn't like a bootleg, and I had the real copy of it. And I beat. I can't believe I finished that shit. It had like the puzzles and everything. I don't know. There was something. It's something about that game. Maybe because it was such a quiet atmosphere. It was like way more quiet than like Resident Evil. It was so mysterious. I think that's what it was. It was one of those games that you had mad questions. Like you were just like so like what like you wake up in a facility, you don't have any idea why you're there. You know, I don't even know if he knows who he is. And then there's monsters. Like, what?
He doesn't know. He doesn't remember anything.
Yeah, like you just wake up one day and it was like it was so mysterious, and then it just kind of ends. You beat the game, you fly off in a jet. Oh, and then before even Resident Evil 2, fucking people like sacrifices himself, but you keep his like microchip. Oh, that's just like what's the name of that game? The one that Titanfall 2. Did you play through Titanfall 2's campaign? Okay.
No, I didn't.
It reminds. Well, there's a whole scene in Titanfall that's kind of the similar. Like, you take people's like memory card or whatever, like his brain chip or whatever, and then at the end you put it in like the master computer, and he's like, "Hi," and he like talks to you and he helps you like get out. And he was like your only friend. You're like in this facility with monsters by yourself, so people he's like this little weird looking robot who helps you.
Yeah. Why does people look familiar? Like, another game creator must be a fan of this dude because I feel like they've like paid homage to that.
Like people,
robot thing.
People.
I feel like I've seen that in a fucking Metal Gear Solid, like in the background or some shit.
See, I forgot. I barely remember what he looks like.
Like a Metal Gear prototype or some shit as an Easter egg. They put it up on a poster.
Maybe. Well, like I said, the guy, the CEO of Level 5 did it, so maybe, I don't know. Maybe he worked on some other shit.
I don't know. Yeah, it just looks familiar. Who knows?
It's just funny to see, like, but anyway. That was my rant on obscurity.
What's crazy?
Cool.
I just need to mention this about Overblood because it's fucking hilarious. That game has a picture of the character on the front in a green filter. Doesn't give you anything else. It says Overblood, and then it says a 3D sci-fi adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at that.
That shit is a 110% survival horror game.
No. It's a sci-fi adventure.
And they made you think. I feel like that dupe was always there because I remember Resident Evil doing the same shit.
Oh, wait.
The cover to that game, I didn't know what the fuck that game was about.
Yeah.
Yeah, read the back cover on it. It just says, "Evil is in your blood."
See? They did. Evil is in your blood. They did. And then they gave you no horror scenes.
What does it mean?
Pictures.
And like, that's what. Yeah.
I miss this part of gaming where you can
it's like
go
Android 17 down there.
Not know what the fuck you're looking at, and you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna buy it. And you come home with this like low key banger, but like actually kind of whack at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like a good B-rated horror flick. That's how I feel.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. Like one of these like B-rated fucking hell yeah, exactly.
This is Sleepaway Camp in game form.
Yeah, like it was interesting. Like it followed the typical formula of like I said, what Resident Evil already did. So it took the best parts of that. It put you a protagonist. It's like you play as Barry because he looks like Barry from freaking Resident Evil Part 1. And it just you play as the protagonist. Stuck in this facility, and and that's it. It's like you find the clues, solve the puzzles. It had its own little
So I have one since you guys got all weird and non-existent on me. I got one that I know you guys definitely didn't play either, and I remember it, and it was not a good game. I mean, it sort of was, but it was on the Dreamcast. Blue Stinger.
Oh, Blue Stinger. I did not play that. I remember that. I did not play that.
Bro, I remember I played hours of that game.
I remember,
and it was not a good game at all. But I was so determined to play it because at the time it was like the first Dreamcast game I had, so I didn't have anything else besides that.
Yo,
And I put so many fucking hours, and I had cool things to do with the memory card and shit like that.
Right.
But it was like, it was so basic at the. I mean, it was advanced for what it was at the time, but even then, it was just like, oh my god, this is not good. It was like super desolate.
So basic. Yeah.
Yeah, like nothing was there. Like no monsters came out. Like every so often, if I'm remembering. Like, and then like you're out in the ocean, so like you couldn't see anything. There was nothing really to look at.
Oh man.
I'm looking at the first image that popped up for me. Not first, but the first I see is the dude from Blue Stinger and like another guy in like a pool. Like they're just
yeah, exactly. Do you have any sense of what this game is? Probably not.
What the fuck is happening?
And then the character models were so bad. Like they didn't even have to be that bad. Like I think at the time we had already had like some pretty decent looking like games out, and this was like a big step back. It was like, why does this look so bad?
Yeah.
I'm looking at some Ghost Fairy. I don't even remember that one. I don't know who the hell she was.
Oh man, one last thing, because we're already hitting 2 hours.
I'm sorry. This is gonna be 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
I just need to know who started like in Japan. Where did that kick off? Like the whole survival horror. Like I know there were survival horror games before Resident Evil and stuff like that. That kind of like set the shit off. But like you had a game like Overblood came out a few months after Resident Evil 1. So it's like not enough time, especially back then. It's not enough time to steal an idea or really make it the same type of game. So who was influencing this shit?
It was. I tell you right now, I already know the answer to that. Alone in the Dark, the original Alone in the Dark is the first one that had you in a mansion. They and I'm pretty sure they've admitted that like that's where a lot of the influences came from. You're in a mansion, finding clues. And you have monsters, stuff like that. It's like Alone in the Dark is probably like the originator of the 3D, adventure style, like find the clue and to get to the next spot type of thing. Because that's all adventure. That's probably why they call Overblood an adventure, because old school point and click adventures were that, find the clue, figure it out.
You're talking about the original CD.
Yeah, so I would say
they probably got that from movies and shit though, because like Japanese horror movies have been around.
Oh yeah, like the themes, yeah, for sure. But like the whole gameplay aspect is for sure starts with Alone in the Dark. And if there's anything before that, I'm not 100% sure. There's probably things that influence Alone in the Dark, but like and I'm not talking about like the new Alone in the Dark that came out like on Dreamcast and PS1, but it was like that old CD Windows 95 or some shit, like when 3D games just started to come out, was Alone in the Dark. And it's crazy because then Capcom blew the shit up. You know what I mean? Yeah, it existed, but Capcom blew it up. They literally like made the genre mainstream. So it's like shout out to Capcom for that, because we probably wouldn't have as many games like we do today because of that. But yeah, they blew it up, but their influence came from that.
Yeah, I don't think some of these guys get enough credit for how difficult it is to pull off a horror game. Like, it's probably one of the hardest genres to do. So
like to do it right, to keep it interesting, to not keep no cheap shots.
Not too many jump scares, not too many, not too much where it's overbearing. It's just scary enough, It's not not scary.
Like I guess what the question I should be asking is not so much. Alone in the Dark is like the first one that kind of gave you that feel of like that atmosphere. But I mean, this game dropped like what? Resident Evil dropped in '96.
Yeah, and
then Overblood dropped in '96, but a few like months after. So I guess I'm just like there was a little bit of a gap there, unless the games just took that long to make. I just want to know what got into their heads at the same time. Like, yo, survival horror is just a shit. Let's just
right. Oh yeah, like what sparked them to just start it? What
sparked both companies, EA and Capcom, to both make a survival horror game that is influenced by Alone in the Dark? Like, what jump started that? Because Overblood didn't have enough time to be influenced by Resident Evil. Like, you could not create a game that short, especially back then, in that short amount of time. So it's not like they saw Resident Evil and said, yo, that looks good, and went and made Overblood and released it later that year. And so I want to know what out there sparked in that little industry that said, yo, these guys are working on a fucking... You see what those guys at Capcom are doing?
Right?
You see that? They're working on a game that looks like Alone in the Dark, but it's crazy. But 32 power.
Like, that shit always happens though. Like it happens throughout the, like, if you look through the ages, like there's games that come out around the same time that are like the same, and I'm like, it's either my theory. This is like, off the dome. Like, don't take, believe anything I'm saying right now. But my theory is that these motherfuckers all went to school together or some shit. Like either they went to similar programming schools, like they know each other. They just work for different companies. Because if me and you right now started a separate company, right, we work for someone else. Like they're not ours. We work for someone else. I'm like, yo, we're working on this game that does XYZ, and you could fly, you could do that. Like, I wouldn't mind passing that on. I mean, it's illegal. I'm sure I'd get fired, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some kind of like, like, because it'd be too much of a coincidence. Maybe not this particular instance, but like, it'd just be such coincidence.
It's the same shit like in movies, where in movies all of a sudden you have two very, very similar scripts being pushed or being, produced. And, all of a sudden one of them trying to get out before the other one does.
Yeah,
and it's just, ideas. Sometimes an idea, it sparks, it starts to travel. You play telephone a bit, and then all of a sudden, another studio has it. Or, friends, they got jobs at 2 different studios. They go get coffee, and then,
that makes perfect sense what both of you are saying, and also not to spend too much time on it, but it makes perfect sense. And what you just said about like you had like that game, what's it called? The guys that Play Dead, that they're coming out with like that game, called like. I forgot what it's called or if it even has a name, but their next project is like a space kind of like a space game. Like you're on like a moon rock and there's like a little companion with you, right? Now that game and the game that production studio Play Dead, the 2 guys that started it split up. One had a lawsuit out on them and he won like $7 million. He went and started his own shit, and he has a game coming out. And that game is also set in space. So it makes perfect sense what you guys are saying. These are guys that knew each other, had similar ideas, and said, man, fuck that. I'm going off of what I know, what I wanted to do. I could do that idea. I could do it better. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, even with music, like you have, artists like Tricky, who the guy from Portishead showed him a sample of Isaac Hayes, right? He heard it and said, that sounds awesome. Portishead releases the song Dummy, and he fucking goes and releases Hell's Around the Corner, and it's the same sample, just done differently. But these are dudes who all knew each other from like Bristol and London and out there playing shows together, same circle, same ideas. You just kind of trust people. You say shit, I'm sure it'll happen to us. Like one.
And it's funny because another thing that popped into my head, and then we really got to wrap it up, is thinking about Last of Us. So Last of Us, Neil Druckmann had that idea since like college, and he was trying to push the idea for a minute, and they made fucking Nathan Drake, Uncharted, and other shit came out, and then after, then finally, after he had some like accolades and had some shit under his belt, he was allowed to make the game he wanted. Exactly. He made the game he finally wanted to make. So if you think about it, if we went to school together, or like you said, we talk or whatever, and you develop these ideas, I'm sure people know each other, because there'd be aspects in games. I'm like, how you know to put the thing with the thing in there? And these are completely separate companies. Like, how you knew to put the same exact to the detail sometimes? It's like, that can't be a mistake, but like, just like, we got to revisit horror. I think we could definitely do another horror episode.
I didn't think this was gonna be such a hot topic, but like,
I know once you mentioned that, exactly.
I got movies now I want to mention. I'm like, I can link movies and shit.
I think we should do that. Like, maybe we'll do another hard, not the next one, but like, like, give it some space, and then we do like
we'll revisit.
Yeah, we got to revisit this topipic
around October. We'll come back.
All I want, we're on the topic of horror or whatever. Shut up, Firewatch. I want a Firewatch movie. That's all. I just want a Firewatch movie. A horror movie. Yeah. I think it would be a good spin. I like the tone of that game.
Okay, I can see that. It would need some work, but I can see that.
We'll develop that in the next one. But if you made it this far, what you said?
I'll have that written by next week.
All right, give me the treatment. I want the treatment by next week.
Matt Damon, co-pro.
If you made it this far, what is your favorite horror game? What makes a good horror game? Tweet that to us. Leave it in the comments. I know this is a long video, and or audio. But we're definitely let us know what you think is the best horror game. Interact with us. Let us know. I want to know what people's thoughts are on some of this stuff. And yeah, and we definitely got to do another breakdown and discuss some other types of horror, because there's a lot of games we haven't discussed. More puzzles, cameras, hide and seeks. Maybe a deeper dive in Resident Evil. I think we definitely we can do some good dives on that. So yeah, I think we're gonna call it from here.
Yeah, this went a little long, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
any last words for our beautiful listeners out there?
Always wear sunscreen.
Yeah, me and my friends chilling on the Plafado.
Yo, Kojima, we know you're listening. Give us that horror game.
Yeah.
Give us I don't know. All right, I think that we're gonna end it here. Thanks everyone for listening. If you made this far, I really, really appreciate it. See you on the next one.
Later.
Later.